Giant institutional investors are grabbing up thousands of homes in Atlanta, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and so many communities around the country, making housing both more unaffordable and lower quality. And one of the biggest culprits is a publicly traded company called Invitation Homes.
It was the CEO of Invitation Homes who said, we need to juice this hog. We need to squeeze renters for all of these fees. This was not a low-level employee. This was a deliberate corporate strategy that started at the top.
So let's talk a little bit about the FTC. You know, the government agency that's currently being led by Lina Khan, a woman that Kamala Harris is currently being bribed by billionaire donors to get rid of should she get elected. Well, under Lina Khan's leadership, the FTC did go after Invitation Homes. And guess what? They won. They won a settlement of $48 million after the FTC decided to sue them over their treatment of their tenants. So let's get into some details about this. So the corporate landlord in particular was making a ton of money by essentially ripping people off when it came to things like their security deposits. Invitation Homes saw record profits during the pandemic to the tune of nearly $200 million in 2020 and $250 million in 2021. Currently, the company is valued at nearly $22 billion. So let's go through the many different ways that Invitation Homes decided to exploit ordinary Americans in order to make these profits. First, Invitation Homes sprung undisclosed junk fees onto its renters.
The company would advertise one rent, but then saddle renters with hundreds of dollars in junk fees that could jack up their rent more than $1,700 per year.
Fun. Well, maintenance also tends to be a problem when it comes to these private equity owned homes. And so let's take a look at the conditions that these renters were living in.
And we work with you to schedule routine maintenance visits twice a year.
And 24/7 emergency maintenance telephone support is available as well.
Invitation Homes promised quality inspections and constant support. In reality, the company practiced what the FTC found to be a deliberate pattern of ignoring maintenance requests, putting the health and safety of their renters at risk.
There were folks at the company who called their maintenance procedures a train wreck. They said it was the worst they had ever seen. What our investigation found is that more than 30,000 renters had complaints about maintenance within 1 week of moving in.
Yeah, but maintenance tends to cost money. And if you increase your costs, that means that you're going to lower possible profits. And private equity firms don't want that, do they? Finally, Invitation Homes also stole money from their tenants by focusing in on security deposits.
Said themselves, when it comes to security deposits, they knew they were upsetting tenants by withholding so much in security deposits, but they had to hit the numbers investors needed to see. And that's why Invitation Homes withheld 60% of the security deposits people made compared to a national average of 36%.
And during the pandemic, while Invitation Homes publicly touted their support for struggling tenants, they were actually finding ways to bypass the national eviction moratorium.
The way it worked is that people would fill out a declaration that the CDC circulated, and that declaration would essentially give them the ability to stay in their homes through the duration of the moratorium. What Invitation Homes did is create their own separate form called a hardship affidavit, but it didn't have any effect. And then it went on to initiate evictions against many of these folks.
Well, the Federal Trade Commission went after them and won a $43 million settlement. Had Lina Khan not been the head of the FTC, I don't know what the actions of that government agency would be against Invitation Homes and their predatory activity. But nonetheless, a lot of people who make a lot of money in this country, who own a lot of wealth, want to do away with Lina Khan. And we'll see what happens to her, or what the fate of the FTC will be in the next administration.
So she's the cop on Wall Street. So if you see people lobbying to get rid of the cop, there might be a reason for that, because they might be the robbers. So in this case, look at what happened. First of all, no company's settling for $48 million if they didn't do it. oh yeah, we'll just give you $48 million even though we're totally innocent. Said no company ever. Okay, so, but number two here, it's crystal clear. When you talk about repairs, you could then get into debates. Hey, did it really need to repair? That one is vague. They proved it beyond a reasonable doubt, but I could see people having concerns about it or being unsure about it, right? But when the national average on security deposits is at 36%, and your average, not one time, your average is at 60%, that means you are systematically robbing people. You know, these are giant, this is a $22 billion company. They know where the national average is. They're purposely moving past the national average because there is endless pressure to make more profits. Because Wall Street says, not enough, not enough. Or your funders say, not enough, take more from the average American. We want another billion and another billion, okay? So then, but the fake documents that led to the evictions, that's the thing that makes it open and shut case. So they do the fake affidavits, as you just saw in the video. They go, oh, don't worry, guys. We're helping you file this with the government. But they actually don't file anything for the government, and then they evict them. And they say, well, you didn't file anything with the government. Well, that proves intent, that you were evil and you decided, yeah, I'm gonna screw these people over and I'm going to evict them and I'm gonna ruin their lives because I wanna make an extra dollar because my greed is infinite. So without cops like Lina Khan on the beat, oh, the robbers are gonna go nuts. They're gonna add junk fees to you. They're gonna rob you of every kind of deposit, and there's gonna be no one to help you. So that's what corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans want. No cops on the beat. Well, these days, also on Main Street, but definitely on Wall Street, so they can, as that CEO said, juice the hog. We live under corporate rule, and our corporate politicians serve corporate rule, and our corporate media protects corporate rule. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.